Hopefully I will not crash. Good morning. It is Friday, July 26th. So it says I'm live. Okay, I got to turn on my... Wah, wah, wah. On. Save. There we go. We got Earnings Hub there. I've got newsletter here. I've got and we've got the Q's going on here. You. Okay. View channel. There we go. Morning, Mark. I'm going to do some scans. I got a bunch to talk about. Not really. Let's see. Cut. Paste. There we go. And scans. Morning, Star. Bye. Have fun. What I gotta get my water. By the way, it looks like a good day. Yesterday was, I mean, I don't know if anybody watched it, but holy crap. I gotta look at the intraday 5-minute chart. Because look at yesterday. I mean, this was crazy. We went down. This was the beginning of the day. And then you went back up the middle of the day. And then you came back down the end of the day. And today, I mean, we're at 463. That's not quite at the highs of yesterday. So, you look at a 4-hour chart. If we look at a daily, then you can see still no real confirmation. I mean, yeah, it's oversold and stuff is bad, but my stock portfolio yesterday went through, 4% move, 5% move within a day. I mean, the overall portfolio. That's what's crazy. It shouldn't do that. Oh, Maddox? I'd trade freaking brokerages. So, full disclosure, I traded with Merrill. Good morning, Chris. I had an account with Merrill. At the time, it was one of like 4 or 5 because I had rolled over an IRA and they gave me like $5-6 grand to stay with them. So I had to stay with them for, I think, a year. And then I realized that I couldn't trade the ARK funds. This was back when the ARK funds were actually doing well. So I had to find something else. And finding something else in Merrill just said, you know what? Forget it. I don't want to trade in there. I want to get out. And so my best suggestion, alternative to get Bitcoin exposure, MSTR is like a triple levered ETF on Bitcoin. You could also do the miners, but you're not getting Bitcoin exposure. It's kind of like GBTC before the spot ETF was announced. it's just, I mean, you're just faking it, you know. It's for me, that's enough to switch brokerages. But if you can't, and I was in the situation where I couldn't, then I would probably just go, the miners, MicroStrategy. But I would probably go and ask ChatGPT or Copilot, or Gemini, one of those. That's what I would do, Maddox, is I don't. Again, remember, I tried every brokerage. I tried TD Ameritrade. I tried E-Trade. I tried. I have Webull right now, but not. I still wouldn't put a major amount of money into Webull. I just have it as a play account, and I love it as a play account because it's a fantastic mobile platform. But I've got the outside thing is, if you can move, I would move, even if it's a small amount of your money. I would just move a small amount of your money that you want to trade in spot Bitcoin over to Fidelity. And if you want an introduction to Fidelity, just email me. Go on the Linktree and email me, and I'll send you my guy. He'll handle it. They're great. I mean, Stuart and his team, they've handled so many of my subscribers and listeners that I trust them. ODFL, KHC. But Maddox, I do have MicroStrategy. I mean, that's essentially a Bitcoin ETF, because all Michael Saylor does is buy freaking Bitcoin and then sell it. And that's a chart that's trading sideways. I mean, it's just going to trade with, it's coming up on its 10 for 1. And I got a note today. If you don't think Donald Trump wants to make news this weekend, with Biden and Harris, Harris basically raising all of that money, if you don't think that he wants to get back to, the huge chance to win, I mean, his numbers have come down. It's not, I still think he's winning in a certain respect, but God, the amount of money that Harris has raised is incredibly impressive. So I think he's going to do something big at the Bitcoin conference. That's my point. So I would get exposure to it before Friday. And here's the thing. I mean, worst case, just open up a Coinbase account. I mean, that's what you want to do. Boy, this is up 5%. Yeah, I like this 4-hour algorithm. I really do. Okay, where are the Qs? There we go. I've got a little bit of a sick puppy with me, so I may be breaking this episode up into a couple of different segments. Just so you know. Let me go grab my water. I'm just going to grab my water. By the way, I got a new TV yesterday. Finally delivered from Amazon. New TCL 85, 75-inch QM85. I'm dog crying. I'm not a calibrator, a picture calibrator, but I think I've got it about 80% dialed in. Okay, hold on. There you go. You okay? Okay. Sorry. Dog is up in arms. Let's open up. I don't honestly, it's probably going to be a quick podcast. We got Bitcoin with Trump. We got Dexcom got killed. We got 3M. I was 100% right on this one. This was a great play. I wish I had more time yesterday. I would have played it. It's up 6%. Apple, Q3. Bears, get ready. Hold on. What's wrong? You okay? I hear you crying. Okay. I'm going to take this. Okay. There we go. You okay? Okay. There you go. My dog's in. Morning, Scott. And Maddox, hopefully that made sense. I didn't go on too much of a rant. This is bad for Google. The greed and fear and greed index is back to greed. Or I'm sorry, back to fear. And then the news, Fed. Oh, you know what? We need to open this up over here, or else I'm going to get lost. There we go. There we go. Breaking news. Let's see market data. Look at energy yesterday. Killed it. I mean, 1 month technology. I mean, that's why my portfolio is doing really bad. XLF has just killed it. Year to date, I mean, look, communications and financial services have taken over the number one spot. In 1 month, that has taken, the year to date down. 1 year, communications and financial services. So, 3 years, though. I mean, energy's up 89% in 3 years. God. Bonds, 20-year treasury, commodities. I think, did somebody ask me about commodities? SILV. I think SILV is just silver, if I'm not mistaken. Silvercrest Miners, metals. Turn on my do not disturb. Okay, hold on. Why do you want to change blankets now? Okay, hold on. Okay? What do you want? You want it over here? Which blanket do you want? Okay. I don't want you to pee again. Yeah, come back Friday. Okay, they asked about that. Okay, I'm on do not disturb. Do my analyst, let's see. Top 5 value stocks for a big tech pullback. This was yesterday. That's probably a good one to put in here. We're going to put this in here. Larry. Let me see. Does he say which ones? Rotation out of tech. I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but GSL. I don't know why he says that one. Hyster Yale. SkyWest. And Innovia and General Motors. General Motors has killed it. And it's an alpha pick. I like crowd to bounce. I do. I think that's a good one. That's the week ahead. So that was just Saturday. Undercovered dozen Spirit Airlines. And this is from, it was from. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to go into that. We already published that one. Okay. I like crowd. We're going to leave that up there. Anything on FinViz that kind of ARTV is insurance brokers. Best Buy selling. Best Buy insider sales in a big way. Chairman. Wow. Chairman selling what? 600, 500 million? Wow. And he's not done. Target price is 89. It's trading at 87. That's probably why he's selling. That's an interesting one. Russell 2000 up 1% yesterday. Dude, that's an ugly board for me. Tech on the left. Tesla was up yesterday. Okay, so there's the cues. CrowdStrike is one. I do think CrowdStrike comes back. I think that, we talk about it. Any reaction in the market is an overreaction. Again, I thought I was timing this one well up here with the the second day of this thing. I thought that MACD and the RSI was just too extended. It wasn't. It was selling up here at about 300. I think I bought it at 305 or so. And clearly more downside. But I saw an article. CrowdStrike says, I think, let's see. That's from yesterday. We can put this in. You know what? I'll update folks on CrowdStrike because I think maybe some folks got in. Let's see. Crowd believers. Okay. We'll put that in. Alpha Picks. Oh, that's just the webinar of the thing. So we got a new alpha pick coming up next week. Okay, I've got enough. Let's go to the Qs, and I think I pulled it back. I got to pull it back a little bit. Morning, Alexander. Okay, I got everything. Okay, I'm going to hit record. It's 8:58. That allows me to get it done. I got still a lot of stuff to do. No, you didn't miss it, Alexander. I'll go on it. I will go on about CrowdStrike. I've got inflation numbers, Fed surprise, fear and greed index, Viking Therapeutics about yesterday. I talked about AI being a risk to Google's bread and butter, which is search. It happened yesterday. CrowdStrike, Apple News, trade ideas, 5 stocks to buy with the tech pullback. I like this week's installment of stocks that are unlooked at. 3M, I was completely right about. Dexcom, my dad owns it, so I'll kind of go over that. And Bitcoin, where I think that you should play money this weekend because Trump's speaking at that damn conference. Then SMCI is a social request, and SILV is the social request. So it might be a fast show. Oh, Shivam, I probably don't make mention of it. Thanks for listening, but I probably don't make mention. This is how I record it. So it's low energy Gary during like the live stream. And then you'll see high energy Gary during the live stream, when I'm actually recording. But thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'm helping out a little bit. I'm not everybody's bread, cup of tea. I know that. But I do know that, again, people talk about systems and courses, and I don't give a course. But what I do is give you guys a foundation to look at things the right way. Is that, hey, I'm going to look at the chart. I'm going to see, is it bottom left, upper right in my time frame, whether it's 4 hour, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly, whether it's 5 minute. Let me just make sure I'm buying into strength, and not at the top kind of thing where I don't think that it's going to go higher. Let me also make sure that the fundamentals make sense. Let me also make sure that if I need to get out, I actually have a true exit plan when I buy. So it's more about just kind of mindset and understanding this stuff, and it's stocks aren't hard. You just have to make sure that if you're managing your own portfolio, that you're managing it correctly, meaning that you're going into it with the mindset of, okay, here's why I'm buying it. I'm going to make sure that I watch it a little bit, whether it's 6 months or whether it's 1 month or whatever, 1 day or 1 year. And then you've got to make, follow through with that plan. So like I bought CrowdStrike at 300. I'm not happy about it, but at some point I'll buy it again, dollar cost average, because I do think it's a good company. Problem is the valuation is crazy. And if they come out on their earnings and they say, yeah, we couldn't sign any contracts because we took the world down. Hey, Bomar, I'm going to add a letter to your name since you changed me from G to L. But hey, Bomar. Okay, let me hit record. Good morning. It's Friday. Woo, 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 woo. If you guys know that song from The Cure. I mean, I'm old. The Cure in the 80s was the thing. I wasn't, kind of that emo dude, but I like their songs. Well, I like some of their songs, not all of them. I wasn't a huge Robert Smith fan. But anyway, it's Friday. I'm in love with stocks, with whatever. But here's the thing. I go away for 3 days, and you effing degenerates kill my entire portfolio. I come back. There's an enormous swing yesterday in stocks. Enormous swing. I had a 4 to 5% swing between the low of my portfolio yesterday to the high of my portfolio. That shouldn't happen. Not in a portfolio my size with the amount of diversity that I have. It shouldn't happen. It's crazy. Crazy. And how do you tell that volatility? You look at the VIX. It's plain and simple. I said I think the VIX is going to 20. Yesterday, it was down 5%. It's down at 1752. Does that mean we're out of this? No, it does not. It just means that we've got some volatility going on. And you don't want to change every day. If I were balancing my portfolio every day, oh my freaking God, I'd go nuts. I wouldn't have time to do this podcast. I wouldn't have time to sleep. But so you want to make sure that your plan is correct. You want to make sure that your long-term goals are set. Set a number, okay? Understand, put a timeline in when you want to get to that number. Then you've got your goals set for yourself. Stock trading isn't hard. It's just about making sure that you have a plan. You're able to get to that plan, and maybe there's changes along the way. There will be. But, the VIX, this is going to tell us where the market's going. I don't even see the full button hook at this point. It's not there. So, we can talk about the Qs. Yesterday, if we're looking at a 5-minute, and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to look at a 5-minute chart of yesterday, okay? This is where we started. This is 9 o'clock right here, 9:30. It's a 5-minute chart. So 9:30 right here is where we started, about 462. We went down to 455, okay? We went all the way back up to 468. Then we came back down again. And the selling and the close, and what you're seeing, the steep sell-off here, most likely that's Google. There was news yesterday. That's the sell-off that we saw. Have we changed in the 4-hour? No. And I pointed this out yesterday. I said, and I highlighted a little bit in the newsletter. If you want the newsletter, by the way, it is free, 100% free. It's right here, dailystockpick.substack.com. You can get to that and everything on my link tree. If you're watching the video, the link is down below, linktr.ee/dailystockpick. You got your link to TrendSpider. And remember, TrendSpider, I put it in the newsletter yesterday. I may not have made it very clear. TrendSpider is not just about when to buy. It's when to sell and when to get out. And you have to, it takes emotion out of the thing. You still have emotion when you actually press the sell button. But the reality is, if you're looking at these charts and you're saying there's weakness and the algorithm has you out, it might be time to pull out. And that's just an individual. If you're losing sleep over that, you've got to. And so what do I see in this chart? Well, I see last year from all the way from, September, we may just be going into this a little bit early. And you may just be seeing a little bit of an early thing. So here, this is from July of last year all the way to November. What do you see? We keep going down. We have lower lows, okay? The algorithm keeps getting you in at a lower price. We also have lower highs. The algorithm keeps getting you out, but it's getting you out with smaller and smaller. And then what happened in October, we hit. November, it was the start of a bull rally, okay? Start of a bull rally. Now, what are we seeing? Here in June, we start to see it go up. And then in July, we start to see a little fall, okay? July, with 100% win rate, it's going to take that out. This isn't going to be the year that it was good. For the first couple of weeks, we were doing really well in the Qs. But again, when you hit that midpoint in July, it just fell apart. And so now we're seeing what we should have been seeing. In August, we're seeing it in July. So what do we do from here? Well, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, core PCE, rises 0.2 as expected. So the Fed just got news that the inflation numbers, they're in line. Now it's not down to 2%, but we're seeing everything move in the right direction. What does that mean? Maybe the Fed, which meets next week, maybe the Fed surprises us. Maybe they make a move in July. Will that be good? Well, it's good for IWM. IWM is going to be the small cap and the small and mid cap. That is the gauge of small and mid caps. It's at 220. I said it down here when the algorithm got you in at 200. I was a little bit skeptical, but I said that the actual resistance is going to be 212. So old resistance turns into new support. And so if you're buying here at 220, you don't want to sit there and wait for it to go through 212. If it's a short-term play, if this is a long-term play and you want to buy it long-term, again, I think we have more room to run. Tom Lee thinks it's up at 300 by the end of the year. So this is it. And if you don't want the small caps, go over here to market data in Seeking Alpha. And you can look at small cap is IJR, micro cap is IWC, mid cap MDY. So you can find all of these things on Seeking Alpha. Again, the tools that I have, TrendSpider is not just a way to actually find out when to buy. It's also a way to manage your portfolio with that 4-hour algorithm. It takes emotion out of it. That was my point yesterday. But will the Fed surprise us? My guess, and this is just a guess, nobody knows, but my guess is that Jerome Powell will probably not lower rates in July, but he will heavily signal that he is going to lower rates in September. That lower in September is already priced in. I don't think he's seen a huge, we're seeing weakening consumer. You saw it in the airlines. You saw it in Delta. You're seeing it in consumer goods. You're seeing the weakening of the consumer. So the danger is the Fed waits too long, and they waited too long to raise, and they went into that hyperbolic kind of raise. So Jerome Powell may be thinking, I don't want to wait too long, and maybe September is too long. Maybe I'll go in July. Maybe. Again, the Qs are getting killed, but the Qs shouldn't be tied to that Fed rate cut. They're the largest stocks in this market. So that's something to think about as you're going into this. I am trying to get more exposure to IWM and the small and mid cap space because I do agree with Tom Lee that those have room to run. I just don't want to overpay for it because in my mind, that's a short-term play. My portfolio is big cap tech. It's not changing. And I will live and die by that. I may die by it, but that is my portfolio. So I'm not changing that. Now, I think it was last week I posted the CNN Fear and Greed Index was up at greed. It was well into greed. Well, where did we go? We're at fear now. We're at fear. And so the quote that I will point out to you is Warren Buffett that says, when people are greedy, be fearful. When they're fearful, be greedy. Start buying. If you're looking at long term, it's time to start buying. And you want to buy on the upswing. So it's not like you buy on a Friday. You don't want to do that. If you're dollar cost averaging over a long period, buying on Friday is perfectly fine. But if you're just looking at money sitting in your account and it's cash and you want to deploy it, do not buy on a Friday. Wait until Monday. And so the fact that we moved to that fear index so quickly, that tells me that this one probably has the 200-day sitting there. Now, if you look at the daily, which is what a lot of quants and stuff do, the 200-day is still in play. We broke down through the 200-day yesterday, and or the 50-day, and we never got a back above it. There's weakness. There is weakness in the Qs. That's it. So, again, you want to look at that. Now, one that I pointed out yesterday, VKTX, Viking Therapeutics, this went nuts yesterday. And what I want to do, I want to point out in the 4-hour that we saw a buy here at 65. You're trading at 64. I don't know that I'd necessarily look at, oh my God, I've got to get into this one. But I wanted to point out a 5-minute chart because yesterday I said in pre-market when it was trading at 53 that you still had more room to run on this one. Now, I didn't trade it. I didn't buy it. I said I'm not a biotech guy. I'm not a super fan of this. But when we looked at this in Seeking Alpha, VKTX, when we looked at this and we said Wall Street has a strong buy on this one, the valuation's not crazy, but understand they are not making money. There are 12 analysts that view this. 12 analysts. And when you look at the revisions of those 12 analysts, 7 have the earnings per share going up, 2 going down. Okay, nobody's touched the revenue because there is no revenue in this. But this is a GLP-1 company. And so what I want to point out to you is there was a big gap up yesterday, a big gap when you look at this daily. We have a big gap. Well, it started to come back here down to this 39. It didn't. It got to this 64. So it didn't quite cover this gap, but you've got this gap that's covered up here at 88. I do think that this one has more room to run. Just showing you there are opportunities in this market. Now, I also talked about how OpenAI and Google and AI will be a problem for Google. Google's bread and butter is in search. And so when OpenAI yesterday announced they're going to do an AI-powered search, Google slipped 2%. And that's what you saw in the Qs. If you want to see how this one reacted, go and look at a 5-minute chart. And it's still down today. It's still, it closed down yesterday. But if you look at this 5-minute chart, tell me where they announced. Because I'll show you right here, right at 1400, right at 2 o'clock, they announced it, boom, down. And it came down to its lows of the day. This is one, I will add to this one when it's time. It's not time right now. It's just not time. If you're buying this one, you're buying into weakness. It's not a horrible time to buy if you're looking for long term. I'd look at the 200-day right at 167 as that support level. That's what I would do. But your Bollinger Bands are wide open, and you're on the downside of the 9-day. There's no reason to rush into this one and buy it. You wait until you have some strength to buy this stuff. Okay? CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike has some believers in it. Let me open up this. CrowdStrike, Bank of America, says buy it. This was July 25th. This was yesterday morning, 1041. Bank of America buy rating. Bank of America did lower its price target from 400 to 365. That's still a really good price target. These are experts who are doing this. Has it found a bottom? Again, it's still got weakness. I would much rather see you buy this at 270 when it's in an upward trend than buy this at 250. You're not going to time this. Yes, the MACD is way down here. Yes, it's going to cross up. Yes, the RSI is at 16, the lowest it's been in a long, long time. But you want to wait until you have strength. I bought it. I tried to time the algorithm. I was wrong. The algorithm got you out with 9%. That was a great play. Buying here at 344 and getting out at 9%. Did it know that they were going to shut down the world? No. But the algorithm does play in that middle space. Now, you might be saying, Gary, you talk about this algorithm. How do I get the algorithm? You go over to Linktree, linktr.ee/daily stock pick. And that top link is TrendSpider. It will take you over here. Okay, it's $53 a month. In my mind, I'm not worried about $53 a month. Make sure your portfolio can sustain this. If you got $5,000 in a portfolio, the algorithm makes no sense. You're not trading enough to actually use the algorithm. If you've got 50,000, I would question even that. If you got 100,000 or more that you're actually managing, I think this makes total sense because again, the algorithm takes emotion out of it. Now, did I sell up here at 9%? No. My goals on CrowdStrike are different than most. I own a ton of Palo Alto networks. Did I sell up here? No. But I bought more at 305. Now, I'm not happy that I bought it at 305, but in the long run, I think I'll be okay. I will buy again during strength. I won't buy during weakness. That's just it. Now, this is no news. This is kind of clickbait headline. Apple to adopt AI protection set forth by Biden administration. This means nothing. That means nothing to Apple. That's not going to move the needle. I mean, that's just, hey, Apple's going to, abide by some unknown kind of thing that could be turned around because it's an administration. Don't even pay attention to it. What you do want to pay attention to is Apple Preview. Bears get lucky for another iPhone lesson. iPhone sales will drive this company. And if, again, we're talking if, these are earnings that are coming up. I think on Apple, it's coming up next week. Let's see. Apple is, it might be 2 weeks from now. Apple is, no, it's a little while. Yeah, it is August 1st. So it is next week. August 1st, Apple reports. They're trading currently at $219. This article basically points out that iPhones will drive this market. And if Apple is going to make another move to 250, which I do think that Apple has in it. I think that Apple has it in. Now, here's the problem. With the current valuation and the current growth, it should not even be trading at 217. This thing should be It should be a $220 stock, with the growth and stuff. Its current price, Wall Street price target is 223. I would argue that if they don't come in to a good thing, you're going to see this one 10% down. You're going to see it hold that 200 level. I think anything under 200, you just rip roaring buy into this, because that Apple iPhone is going to be the driver of this thing. And now, Apple AI, we still don't have a really good look into this, what it actually is. I just assume that Apple is going to, Siri has gotten tremendously better. But if they report something where they don't have revenue growth, because remember, revenue year over year has gone down with Apple, and that's why they're being held back from 250. If they show growth, I think that's enough, and I think that will push them up to 230. Okay, if they then forecast out, hey, we're going to see a huge iPhone cycle where people start buying, I think that's where it gets to 240, and then your trading frenzy gets it to 250. So that's the plan that I have. Am I trimming this? No. I mean, again, I'm not trimming into weakness. Did I get out here at 228? No. I might trim some in my retirement account just to get the mindset that it's okay to sell. I have thousands of shares of this. If I sell one or two shares, it's not going to create a huge dent. But I do want to get my mindset into the fact that I can sell this before earnings. If I make a mistake, I just buy higher. It's one of those stocks that I don't mind. Look at that 50-day. That 50-day with that golden cross. The golden cross, it was happening when it was trading in 190. Did you buy it? Should have. Again, it's coming back. I think your support level is 200. If it gets down below that, I think the valuation actually means you go ahead and buy it. Now, maybe you don't want to buy that one. Let's look at this one. Trade ideas, the top 5 stocks for big tech pullback. This is interesting. To me, this one makes sense. I mean, Steve Kress from the quant team, he goes over a ton of stocks. I'll give you the first one. The first one is GSL. I don't even know what the hell it is. But again, these are 5 stocks I never heard about. And he's giving you the top 5 value stocks. He's going over value. Remember, in the rising interest rate stuff, when they actually start to reduce, then value actually becomes more attractive. So it's a PE at a 40% discount to the growth index. He's taking his fundamental knowledge and he's giving you 5 trade ideas that use the quant in order to get, and the quant has outperformed tremendously since it was implemented in Seeking Alpha. So if you're interested in those top 5 tech ideas, I think that's a good one. And this one's interesting too. Uncovering the dozen Spirit Airlines HubSpot. This is a weekly newsletter that comes out from the Undercover Dozen. And they give you 12 ideas published every week on stocks that have less coverage on Seeking Alpha. And they go over, would they buy them? Would they sell them? Blah, blah, blah. I like this. I like this newsletter. So again, if you want this, you go to the link tree. It's right here, the second link. You get $25 off, but you get a free 7-day trial. So if you like again, go read my newsletter, click on the article. If it asks you to join, just use my link, join up. It's that simple, and you save $25. I do think that there are great ideas out there. 5 value stocks and all of the undercover stocks. That's it. Now, yesterday, I said it at the end of the day when we were going, at the end of the podcast. If you missed it, I said 3M is a good buy. I said, and I used Earnings Hub. I went over here and I said the 3M. We can point it out actually in the newsletter. I put it in the newsletter. So let's just read yesterday's newsletter because I put it in there and it was, did I make a trade? No. I mean, sometimes I just don't trust myself and I'm so far in the weeds here. But 3M might be interesting tomorrow based on the expectations being low. It's a beaten down stock with new management. I thought it was a good play, and I went into depth on that one. Now, I said the algorithm had you in at 104. It's trading at 111 right now, and they did really, really well. Q2 swung to a net income of $1.15 billion, or $2.07 a share, from a loss of $6.84 billion, or $12.35 a share. Again, that's a loss to a gain. This one has more room to run. It's now up 7% in pre-market. It's good. It's a good stock. It is on the rise. When we take a look at this one from a long-term standpoint, you want to take a look at that weekly. It is upper left to bottom right, but new management. That changes the play. And when new management comes in and you start to see the confirmation above the 9-day here, and that the 200-day is still moving negative, but that 50-day is starting to move positive. And I would argue that the actual valuation of this company is not bad. Now, their old management, there were some ethical dilemmas. They had some earplug stuff that with the military and stuff like that. But the valuation is really good. Now, if this guy can turn the growth around, then I think you've got a fantastic, fantastic company. On the rebound, you could be looking at 10, 15% even from here. Because if we just get to the 200-day, just to the 200-day, you're at 138. Now, it's going to continue to fall. So maybe that 131, which was the previous where it popped up to 131, maybe that's the next thing. Your next resistance is 111, but you're trading over that today. My guess is that that's where it stops today. But your next resistance up above that is 130. So I think this one's probably a pretty good play on that one. Now, one earnings that I know my dad owns, I begged him to get out of this one. We're not out of it. It's down 36% is Dexcom. This is the glucose monitor company. They now see Q3 revenue at $975 million versus $1 billion versus a consensus of 1.15. They are bringing it down. They missed and they brought it down. And the stock is beaten down by 40%. Okay? 40%. This is a company that is actually making a lot of money. Their margins are good. Everything is good in this company. But they missed and they brought their expectations down. Now, the valuation, a little bit stretched. We can go and look at it. The PE 61, the sector median is 20. But when you look at the PEG, it was only a 0.6. Okay, it was well below the sector median. Now, the PEG forward, a little bit high. So maybe it was trading a little bit. But when you look at that growth, they were growing 25%. They are not going to grow at that. So that's the issue. So if you you lower your expectations, and look, this has been in a slide since the last earnings. I mean, this shouldn't be a shock that it's down. It should be a shock that it's down this low, because if we go to a weekly chart, where are you pulling back to? You're now down at $67. That's where it was in 2022 at the lows. Is it a buy? I don't know. I mean, glucose monitoring. Again, I don't know about this sector real well, but I just thought it was down. I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was a pretty good. I need to get my dad out of that one, but I'm not going to sell into weakness. I'm going to wait. Any reaction in the market is an overreaction. So, Bitcoin 2024. Trump is set to speak on Bitcoin at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville on Sunday. Here's the thing, and one thing Donald Trump loves is if he's in the news. It was well reported that he would watch cable news while he was in the White House and then balk about how much coverage he had in the news. He loves to be in the news. Who's in the news right now? It's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris raised a ton of money. Kamala Harris has a lot of excitement around her to the point where it's pretty much even in the polls right now. Again, Trump got the assassination bump where nobody thought he could lose. Now Kamala's getting this crazy hype. Now, I'm not a Kamala fan. I am super pissed off at the Democratic Party because they chose their elector versus actually being elected and nominated. I am super pissed off. But I have my issues with Trump. But this isn't about the politics of the situation. This is about Trump wanting to be in the news. He's going to make some statement at this Bitcoin conference. How do you want to play it? I've got MicroStrategy, MSTR. I own this one at about $1,600. It's now trading at $1,688. It has gone, you can see, bounced up and down. We've traded sideways, all the way sideways since March, and we haven't necessarily gone up. That was after this big run from 461. This made you 240% in this stock. Now, I consider this a leveraged ETF on Bitcoin because all Michael Saylor does is he takes out loans for 4 or 5%, and then he buys more Bitcoin. And he says, hey, I'm just going to buy more Bitcoin. You can also play IBIT. Again, IBIT is trading under that 200-day. We finally have a 200-day on this one. The 50-day starting to move positive. So for the long term, I'm in this. For the short term, I think you can look at this catalyst as a potential to get into Bitcoin and maybe make some money by Monday. Now, if you just want to trade Bitcoin, just open up a Coinbase account and just go in there and buy Bitcoin. I don't like owning Bitcoin. I don't know. Call me a boomer. It just makes me feel uncomfortable to open up a Coinbase account, and pay fees. I'd rather just buy the ETF. It tracks Bitcoin. And it so far has proven that it will track Bitcoin to a T. So I don't want to house the Bitcoin. I don't want to do it. Now, once somebody gets, hacked, one of these ETFs get hacked, you could be, calling into question whether they own the amount of Bitcoin or not. It could have ramifications on that. But I look at IBIT. It's one of the biggest market caps. They do actually, if you want to buy Coinbase, you can buy Coinbase too, because that trades with crypto. Any of the crypto miners, I own Marathon Mining. You can do that one. You can do any of the other ones. But again, I would say here on a Friday, if you don't have exposure to Bitcoin, it might make sense to get it, because I do think he's going to try and get into the news. Now, Jeremy from Facebook, what is your take on an SMCI? I have a fairly large position that I got in at 782. Thanks for your input. So here's SMCI, and this is part of the tech wreck. And make no mistake, I've said that this one will trade sideways for quite a while. And I think it's going to trade sideways until next earnings, and that's August 6th. So this is going to be one of your first looks at Dell, at SMCI, at HPE. This is going to look at, okay, are we actually building out that infrastructure? We saw how Google spent a freaking fortune. Where's that money going? It's going to NVIDIA. It's going to AMD. It's going to SMCI. It's going to Dell. It's going to HPE. It's going to these companies. So what you have to look for is, okay, does the valuation make sense here? And so let's go look at SMCI with the valuation. SMCI it was a small cap. It's now in the S&P 500. I think it's even made its way into the NASDAQ, if I'm not mistaken. I don't exactly know. They keep getting at it. Now, the valuation is a D, okay? It's got a 36 PE. That's super expensive. But with the growth, when you add in the growth, their PEG ratio is 0.61. That's under 1. That means it's a value stock. And so when you go and you look at the growth, they're growing 79% year over year. Now, that's tremendous. And that, at some point, becomes unsustainable. The sector's growing at 3%. You take a look at the profitability. This is where it really comes into play. If they don't have pricing power and they can't charge 16% gross profit margin, and they can't hold that, and then their growth goes down, this stock will get killed. Now, when we go and we look at the experts, 14 of them in the last 90 days have taken their revisions up on earnings per share. 11 have taken it up on revisions on revenue. Now, 2 of them took it down on revenue. So if we go and look at these ratings and we go and look at the Wall Street ratings, the average price target is 1,033. That's a 45% upside. 45%. Now, there are 17 analysts that cover this. One has it as a strong sale. Okay? When you look at this price target, they chased this price target up, but it didn't reach the top, and now you're starting to see it slide. When you see a stock go up like this, you've got to expect some volatility on the later side. Now, where have we traded? We've traded sideways since, say, April, okay? Since April. That's not a long time. Look at how sideways this traded. This was a sideways trade last year from June until January. 6 months. So in my mind, I think we're just trading sideways. Do I see us coming down here to 400? If they don't keep the profit margin up, if they don't grow their revenue, and if they don't guide higher, you're going to see this come back down to 400. You're going to see it to where that move up there, they're going to say, well, it's unsustainable. It's just a rack company. It's nothing more than a rack company. And that's all they do. Now, they do have the best racks out there. It runs the most efficient NVIDIA chips when you install it. So, again, between this and Dell, I'm not putting, it's not my Apple size. It's not my Apple size. It's not even a top 5 holding. I think you'd be crazy to have this in your top 5 holding because, again, they have just gone through so much growth, and it's hard to keep up that growth. And so would I say trim? If you're in at 782, I'd probably trim it around 750, 760 if it gets up there. That's a bad candle to have on this weekly candle, this week's candle. You've got a 9-day that's moving down. Now, the good news is that if you don't hold on to this, if you get above that 720 range today, it's trading right now at 715, market just open. If you get above that 720 range and this candle kind of gets a little, it won't get smaller because the low is 663. But if you get that candle up, you know what? Your Bollinger Bands are syncing up. Your MACD's going down. Your RSI is in no man's land, but it's on the downside of 47. That's pretty good for another move up. So in my mind, I'm not making a move. My average purchase price on this is somewhere in the neighborhood of 250, 260. I've got several lots of this. I've got one at 1,000 where I bought it at 1,000. I was just adding to it. Again, we talk about watering your grass and not your weeds. This is a grass. In my mind, this is a grass. But at this high height, with that crazy, crazy number and gain this year to date, that's hard to stomach for a lot of people. So they will start to take some profits. And that's just my thought on it. Do I think it's worth 782? I'm not adding to it. I'm not selling at it, but I do have a much lower average price target. So, Lisa Tone, what's your thoughts on SILV? I thought this was silver, but it's silver. SILV is Silver Crest Metals. We can go and look at it. Let's look at the chart. First, let's look at the chart and see what's happening. It is bottom left, upper right. Pretty good. Algorithm just got you out with an 8% gain. Here's the good news. If you have the 4-hour algorithm, it makes you 174%. Versus if you bought and held this for 24 months, you're up 56%, 3 times your money. Okay, your average win is 18%. You get 22 positions. So it's not like you're trading every day. This is once a month trade. That's it. I mean, every now and then you get a couple of buys within the month, but it's 22 freaking trades. Look at that gain of 65%. Again, the algorithm plays in this middle ground. It doesn't play extremes. It plays in that middle ground. Now, getting you out here, it's up 0.77. I would probably think that at some point in time, that MACD and the RSI, it will get you in before earnings. So that's going to be an interesting one before earnings. But I don't know enough about the company to tell you, oh, yeah, you want to buy it before earnings. There are 8 analysts that cover it, okay, on Wall Street. 4 have a hold. 3 have a buy, and 1 has a strong buy. It's been a hold for a very long time. So they haven't changed their price target. But again, they just kind of do that. The actual price target has chased this down. So I'd be a little bit concerned about that one. Valuation, nothing wrong with it. The PE is at 10. It's probably a pretty good one. Your PEG ratio, 0.12. Your growth is an A+. They're growing at 147% year over year. Profitability, they have a 69% profit margin. That's great. Momentum, it's got all the momentum in the world. 3-month performance, you're up 6%. 6 months, you're up 59%. 9 months, you're up 81%. 1 year, you're up 56%. Your revisions, there's 1 down. 5 up, 1 down on earnings per share. 1 up, 1 down on revenue. So it's an interesting one. I don't know, it says precious metals and minerals. Let's see what the description says. Engages in the acquiring, exploration, and development of precious metal properties in Mexico. The company primarily explores for silver and gold properties. It focuses on principal property, Las Chipas mine. So it's probably not a huge market cap. No, it's 1.35. So it's a small cap. This wouldn't fit my Lisa, it wouldn't fit my kind of investment style. So it would definitely be a trade for me. And if I'm trading something like this, I'm just using an algorithm. I'm just using the charts. I'm not worried necessarily about the fundamentals, but I would trade it. And there's a difference there. Not worrying about the fundamentals is different than not caring about the fundamentals. In order to trade a stock, I'd like the fundamentals to be there unless there is a major, major catalyst and major, major volatility, like a short squeeze. The valuation in a short squeeze makes no sense, but you can trade that and make money. So that's what you want to do. I think in this one, for me personally, I'm not into metals. I'm not into small caps. I'm not into that type of thing. But would I trade it? Yeah. I mean, it seems like a good trade. The algorithm makes you 174%. You win nearly 50%. It's a 45% win rate. So in my mind, I think that makes sense. But again, you do you. Your risk tolerance is your own. The weekly, I mean, the 50-day hasn't moved up on it yet. You might be getting that golden cross. This might be going for a little run. Again, the valuation is nuts. But the price of gold and the price of silver has to continue up. So that's just my mind. Scans. We've got one in the energy sector, rig. This is Transocean. These are guys that own just a bunch of ships that run shipping. You saw UPS just get killed on earnings. Rig is one that, you got a positive moving 200-day on the 4 hour. You got a positive moving 50-day. You're in at 517. You're up at 584. Now, the algorithm makes you 9% on this. It's not very good. Over 2 years, you make 105% if you buy and hold. And what does that mean? That means is you've got a stock that's kind of rebounding. And it definitely looks like it's playing between the 50-day and the 100-day. You can see right here, all the way since November of last year, that 50-day has provided the ceiling. So in my mind, again, is 583 a good price? I think your upside is capped. That's what I would say. And your earnings are coming up July 29th, so Monday. Might not be a bad risk. We can go over here to Earnings Hub and we can look at rig. Let's look at rig. Because we do have earnings next week. I'll go over the earnings on Monday. I won't go over them on a Friday because I don't want you to buy on a Friday. We can see they lost 3 cents per share. They're expected to lose 10 cents per share. Now, they made $763 million. They're expected $862. So they're expected to make more revenue, but lose more money. And so that's going to be an issue for me. It's probably not one that I'm kind of taking a chance on. You got MongoDB. You got ELF. ELF has a cross up. We can look at ELF here in the algorithm. It looks like it's a buy. We can see the weekly on ELF still in an upward trend. 172, the valuation makes no sense, but your MACD is so low. Now, don't mistake this because, here at this 168, your MACD was about the same as it is today with a cross up. And that 168, sure, it went up to 182 at its high, but then it crashed right back down. The algorithm didn't act quick enough, again, because the algorithm uses moving averages. So the moving averages can't act quick enough, and you got this death cross. Now, did it kill you? No. Right off of 162, you could have held it and ran it all the way up to that 211. Now, would I expect that to happen with this one, where it's 172? Your earnings are coming up, I think they're next week, August 5th. August 5th is your earnings in this one. And look at that kind of range. This goes all the way back to the pandemic lows, the COVID lows. And then you have 2022 here, where it just bottomed out. But then it took off. It's a cheap cosmetics company. So they've been basically taking Ulta's business away because ELF is just better. TikTok was that TikTok ban thing. That's what happened here where TikTok was banned and ELF's going to be out of business. No, it went right back up. So you got a double top here at 215. So if you buy at 176, you got to figure your top is 215. You got to figure your bottom is 150. That's where I would say play it. If you want to buy it, that's the way I would do it. IBM, Old Dominion Freight. Deere has a buy here. And Deere is an interesting one because this one's been trading sideways. I've said it before, and it's on the downside of that sideways. And so, we've had a couple of here, 0.77 gain. You could have made 1%, but you're trading under the 200-day. It's a company that I think, in my mind, you want to take a look at. If you're into industrials, again, this is just a farming equipment thing. Their self-driving stuff is like, industry leading. But 1 year you're down 14%. It's an upper left to a bottom right in this. And why? Well, it's because of the growth. They're not growing. It's net minus 1%, but their profitability is so good. 34% profit margin. Now, people are just, they're doubting on the company. 0 have brought their earnings per share up, 17 down. 0 have brought the revenue up, 12 down. So it's a little bit, again, you have to take a look at these as far as the fundamentals and the chart. In my mind, if you're going to invest in anything, you got to know both. And remember, all of my tools are on Linktree, linktr.ee/daily stock pick. You can get TrendSpider. You can get Seeking Alpha Premium. You can also get Alpha Picks. Say you don't want to, do all this work. Well, here's Alpha Picks. Okay. And the reason why I promote Alpha Picks is not because, oh my God, it's, they're geniuses. It's stocks I would never think to get into. Okay. And the performance is whenever you have a stock picking service, you need to have the performance with that portfolio. Not just some guy, picked one earnings call, sign up for my text alert. No, that's what Alpha Picks is. Alpha Picks tells you on the 1st and the 15th of every month what stock to buy. They also tell you, not on the 1st or 15th, they tell you when to sell. And that's the key. They will trim stocks. They will completely get out of stocks. They tell you what to buy and sell. Now, when you look at it, July 1st to July 24th, July 1st, 2022 to July 4th, 2024, they're up 132%. That is the portfolio. What's the S&P up? 46%. I'd be perfectly happy with VOO at 46%. But if you're dying to get into this, I will tell you, these are stocks that I don't even know. They picked SMCI in November 2022. I didn't know about it back then. They picked Abercrombie and Finch in October of 2022, I think. Some dates, my mind may be a little bit, but these guys have picked a ton of winners. And so if you don't want to do the research, or if you don't even know how to do the research, I think Alpha Picks at $449, I save you $50 off that. I think it's a great, great price. Okay, but again, you have to have a portfolio that you can make that money back. Because if you're just putting in $1,000, then, even at 132% over that 2 years, it doesn't make sense to buy Alpha Picks. Okay? Get Seeking Alpha Premium for something and look at the, try and trade on that. And at the worst, say you can't, get Webull. Webull's got the best, platform that I like to actually trade on mobile. That's it. And again, my newsletter, completely free. If you have a phone service and you want Visible, I save you $20 off your first month of service. And if you want AT&T at your house, I use Giga Service. I love it. It's 1 gig. God, I was so happy to get back to my 1 gig. Oh, but yeah, and all of the social programs, they're all up here. There's Twitter, X, Vase, Vaz, Tomato, whatever. You got Spotify, you've got Apple Podcasts, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got YouTube. And if you made some money and you just want to say thank you and want to support me, one of two things. Pay for the newsletter, which actually gets you something in order to support me, or send me a Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. They're all here. So if you have any questions, hit me up. Again, it's a Friday, so be careful out there. But I do think Bitcoin's probably the best bet for the weekend. And don't at me if all of a sudden we go down 20% on Bitcoin. Don't at me. Have a great weekend. See you. Bye. Okay. We got that done. Let me look at your comments. Oh, was Friday I'm in Love in the 90s? I didn't know it. Yeah, Amber, I would say Deck did kill it. I mean, it was all Hoka. Make no mistake, Deck was all Hoka. And the rebound is real on this one. The valuation's still a bit extended, but, this one, I mean, that chart on the weekly, I mean, when you came down towards this 200-day at 763, I'm sorry, the 50-day. On's a little bit different. Here, I'll show you. So we'll go and look at Deck. It's a hold in the quant. Buy. I think it's a buy in the thing. We'll go look at peers. Is on here? Yeah, On's already in there. So market cap of Deck is $21 billion. On is half the size. Okay. Employees, again, half the size. Seeking analyst coverage. There's only 2 on Deck, 7 on. They love it. Wall Street, 21 and 20. You can see On has a buy on Seeking Alpha Analysts. It's an F in valuation. And that's where they get kind of dinged, is the valuation. We can go and look at the valuation down here. So Deck has a 27 PE. On has a 39. The PE forward is 26 on deck. It's forward 45 on on. So it's a little bit extended. Now, when you look at the peg, deck is peg forward. Forward is 2.13. Now, on is 1.2. So if on can keep their growth, that's where we're going next, is the growth. If on can keep their growth at 33%, you're perfectly fine. That's the problem you have, is 33% is an amazing growth factor. And if they don't keep that growth up, then that valuation in the stock price will come down. And so, you just rolling the dice on this. They both have the same profit margins, 55 and 59. That's about the same EBITDA margin. Deck has a better EBITDA margin. And that's just because on's still growing and they're spending some money. But you can see 25 million shares versus on has 318 million shares. So Deck has a little bit better short-term, on has better short-term performance, 6 months, 9 months. Then you get to 1 year and it's 69% for Deck, but only 13% for on. So I think you're right in that. Listen, I'm a runner and I look for running shoes. I can't find effing running, and they never go on sale. So, Eric, SMCI just went over it. I mean, SMCI, if you're down 11% on this one, my fear is that you're gonna lose out. If I'm looking at this, the 4-hour algorithm had you out with a 9% loss right there. So the 4-hour algorithm makes you 384%. Buying and holding makes you 1499 over 2 years, 1,499. So your average win is 31%. 25 positions over 24 months. The valuation is what's going to, the growth. If the profit margin dips to 13% instead of 15%, and they're not growing at 79 or 75%, whatever it was, you're going to see this one tank, and it's probably going down to 500s. And it's not crazy to think that it could go to 500s because, again, they were getting some serious valuation pump because they were one of the only ones to do cooling racks with NVIDIA chips. Now you've got HPE and you've got Dell, which are much bigger enterprises than SMCI. So if those bigger ones have been able to scale up and take SMCI business and they're not growing as much, you're going to get killed. So unfortunately, my purchase price, I can't make the decision for you, Eric, but in my mind, I'm holding. You can see here on the weekly, volume pumps that price. Look at the volume. So you got reduced volumes here. And you've got the RSI coming down and the MACD coming down. Do I see, I do see that 50-day being as the next support level at 583. You've got enough volume up here to actually sustain it, enough people holding to sustain it. But as you get further down here, you don't have a lot of people holding between 503 and 639. There wasn't a lot of time spent to actually buy this and hold this. So that's what Eric... again, I'm holding. I don't think you should make your decision based on me. If 11% is making you, lose sleep, get out of it. Just get out. Yeah, let me see where my portfolio is. I should be up. Let's see. I like to do this index check before I get off the air. So my portfolio is only up 0.15, and that's Apple. Is Apple down? Let's see. Apple is down 0.18. So my portfolio is only up 0.15. It's not fun, but it is what it is. Oh, I got a nice ladder. I don't know if Eric's here. I gotta get back to Eric. Oh, Eric, let me see. Is that you, Eric? That Eric sent me the email. Are you the one that sent me the email that signed up for the paid newsletter? If you are, just the answer for your question, and I'll write back to you on email too if you're not. But the Zoom sessions, they're going to start again. I just got lazy. That's just it. I mean, honest to God, it was, between doing this 6 days a week, it's hard. Yeah. So here's your answer. The Zoom sessions, they're posted under the paid section. So if you go here, I haven't done one in a while. But if you go, and it's the actual Substack app is not set up this way, but the web page is set up this way. So if you go over here to paid and you look, the Zoom sessions are posted. It's just been a while since I did one. Right here, I think it was March. Yeah, it was March where I did a few. But I am going to start a Zoom session where it'll be like a monthly kind of thing. I was trying to do weekly and live trading and stuff like that, and I got to update those notes. I tried to do it, Eric. It was just, it's hard. I do give a lot away for free, and that's, one of the dings of some of the guys I'm on Spaces with. You give so much away for free. How do you actually charge for content? I'm like, I'm fine giving away for free whatever I need to give away, because I'd rather have you guys learn than pay me money. I just want the people who support me and the people who actually want to learn a little bit more. Then I think there's a paid option there, and it works out better, because I feel better about charging you for a newsletter where I give you content than to say tip me like a bartender, because I'd rather give you something for the money that I think is worthwhile than that. So, see you, Alexander. Have a great weekend. Any opinions on cash build JSE? Cash build JSE, what's that? Is it JSE? Cash build. I don't know what cash build JSE is. Sedgefield. I don't know what it is. So I don't have an opinion on it. My dog is snoring. That's the best. Let's see, the core portfolio. So Boeing's up 1%. This one's got to bounce. I mean, this one, it's a sideways trade. That's what's crazy about it. Google is down another 1%. This one will be a buy at some point in time. Meta, get it while it's under 500. I need to add more of this. You've got kind of a downward trending. Meta could get killed on earnings if Mark Zuckerberg comes out and says, we've spent $500 billion on chips, and we expect to spend $10 billion, $100 billion more. NVIDIA is up 1.88%. I think NVIDIA is going to kill it on earnings, and I think it's just a sideways trade like SMCI is. But have we had a long enough sideways trade? No, look at that weekly. I mean, you're just crossing down on the MACD. The RSI is still at 61. So has it come back down enough? No. PanW is up 0.92%. We can check on CrowdStrike. Palantir, I think 25 is your support. So if you buy here at 27, just expect that if it gets down there at 25, you have a choice. You can either buy more or you can sell and just take the loss. Qualcomm, this got killed by chips, but it's only getting killed because, chips has run so much. Because take a look at the weekly. Again, it's kind of like NVIDIA. It's, MACD has just crossed down. The RSI is in no man's land. It's just kind of, there. Shopify, up 2%. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Shopify, great. I think it's an $80 stock. Has it proven out to be? No. No, but I do think $80 is in this stock. I think it comes back up to its 200-day. You have earnings next week, August 5th. SMCI is up 2%. So it's just rebounding off of a horrible week for that stock. UNH up another 2.5%, 2.8%. This is a stock that was for so long. Buy when it's under 500. I mean, you're going back to 2021. So 3 years. Buy when it's under 500 and just sell it when it's over 500. But this is the new breakout. And this is the new breakout of a stock that's been capitulating that is a quality stock. That's just it. And that's why it's in the core portfolio. Walmart, under 70, just add to Walmart. I mean, you do have some trend lines here where it's kind of a wedge per se. We can take a look at the weekly because I think there's a weekly. Yeah, there's a weekly trend line that I put in there. And on the upper side, probably provides you some support about 67 or so. As we continue to go up, that's probably the way to go. But again, you look at that weekly RSI, MACD and RSI, and it's just like, do I want to buy that one at that high? No. XLK, I think the pullback offers you a great opportunity. Do you want to buy it now? It's a effing Friday. Don't buy it on a Friday. Wait until next week because we still may have more downside. Look, we haven't even crossed down on the MACD on the weekly. So XLY at 1% up, this is just taking a ding from Tesla. That's all this is. And you can see how it's moved back down to its 200-day. Is it going to hold that 200? I don't know, but it just got you out with a 4% gain. Exxon, I said it's a $120 stock. And I've been pointing that out. You can buy it up here. It'll bounce up there. So it's just about, kind of the core portfolio that I have. And I provide you these watch lists in TrendSpider. That's the great thing. Is that you just have to click on a damn button. And that's it. But Apple turned around and it's now positive by 0.1%. So I'm probably up in my portfolio. I'm up 0.43. And the NASDAQ is up 0.84. So I am only performing 50% of what the Qs would perform. So. Okay. I might go edit this mofo together. You guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Monday. And I'm putting out a paid newsletter tomorrow. So, Eric, hopefully I'll write back to you too. But I've got some plans in store. I have to get through next week. I'm back at another English Premier League game. I think I leave Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm gone for the later half of the week. And then I'm back until the Major League Soccer finals, I think is the next one that I do.